Hi there, welcome back. My name's Red, and today I thought we'd take a look at a brand new game. So rather than discuss a different topic each and every video like I have been the last couple of days or the last couple of videos, I thought today I'd look at a new game, something that has just hit Steam and is making quite a few waves in a good way. Despite the fact that it has had a little bit of a rocky launch, you are looking at it right now, and this game is called TemTem. So for those of you who aren't aware, TemTem launched a couple of days ago on Steam, valued at about $50 for early access. And a lot of you might be sitting there going, $50 for early access? Are you insane? But there's a reason why I picked this game up and wanted to try it, because as you're about to see, as soon as I find what I'm looking for, this game takes a lot of inspiration from quite a beloved franchise. And as you're about to find out, I think you can guess which one it is. Ah, here we go. Have you guessed it yet? If you guessed Pokemon, you'd be correct. This is a Pokemon-esque... I'm not going to say clone, because even though it draws heavy inspiration from Pokemon, I feel like at the moment, from what I have played of it, it has displayed like things that are genuinely different than Pokemon. So you'll notice already immediately that despite the fact that I was just in a random battle, I'm fighting 2v2. Pretty much all battles in TemTem are done this way, which is obviously different to Pokemon, having only select battles that are 2v2. To me, I personally believe this is quite refreshing, because having 1v1 all the time did sort of not become boring, but you would pick your strongest move or the most super effective move against your opponent, and that would be it. Which was, it's fine, but at the same time too, it doesn't really create strategy if you're only ever swapping to types. The one thing I really enjoy about having the 2v2 system is the fact that every single time that I deploy my TemTem into battle, I might have one TemTem that's super effective on the opposing team, but then have one that's super effective to me back. So it automatically cancels each out like every single time I'm on the field, which to me is quite refreshing, because it just adds that little bit of extra layer. And I feel like given the right tuning, the fine tuning that this game could still live up to having being in early access, that it could do quite a bit of good for one, the game as a whole, and two, to provide a competitive game against Pokemon. So before I go into further into TemTem, I feel like Pokemon at the moment has got not stale, but it hasn't really evolved a lot. And I feel like it's because it's got nothing that really competes with it, that it feels like maybe it doesn't have to evolve. And unfortunately, that's left, in my personal opinion, Sword and Shield feeling a little bit undercooked. They're not terrible games by a long shot. Like, they're not god awful that you can't play it at all, but having played since Red and Blue, I seriously believe that they could have done a little bit more just to spice things up a little bit. Now, if you haven't noticed already, there is one way that TemTem sort of does spice this up a little bit and gives us a little bit of a different feel when we're doing battle. Underneath the TemTem's health here, so Genki is this one up here, and Howchick is this one here. Howchick is actually my starter Pokemon. You're going to get that quite a bit. If you've been watching YouTube videos on this happens quite a lot. But Howchick is actually my starting TemTem, and she is a mental one, which is the equivalency, I believe, of a psychic Pokemon, right? They've both got underneath their health bars this blue bar. This blue bar is their stamina bar, which every time you use an ability, you use that amount of stamina, and you keep using it until you run out. But there's a catch. There's a nice little risk versus reward system here. If I pick an ability and decide to attack with it, even though, let's say for example, on Genki's stamina bar, I only have 15 stamina left, but I want to use Drill Impact, which costs 20. I can use Drill Impact, and it will take the 15 stamina from Genki's bar, but also 5 health, meaning I can do it, but at the cost of my own health, which to me especially when it comes to executing things and trying to take down teams effectively, might actually be a valid strategy if I feel like the enemy TemTem could KO my TemTem in the next turn. Especially if I'm down to my last TemTem and they're down to their last TemTem. It could be a definitive, like, it's a game changer. This is whether you win or you lose. The other thing I quite like about it too is you actually can rest in combat and regain the stamina, so you never feel like your decisions have to be that finite, which is, it is quite refreshing to know that I'm not heavily locked into my decisions, but a little bit of thought and pre-planning will actually take you a little bit further. What I have noticed about this game as well is that I've beaten one Dojo Master. The Dojo Master is, yes, a gym leader, and what you're seeing here is the little Pokemon Center air quote. But one thing I've noticed is the items in this game are actually useful, because I went and fought the first Dojo Master and like completely flopped and failed the first time I did it. Actually, while I'm here, I will show you the map. So this is the map, what I've seen so far. So you start down here, and I've seen all of this. This is the first map. I believe the early access has 3 zones out of, I think, 6 for the base game. And then because this game is more styled towards an MMO, it is, I suppose, reasonably easy to believe that there would be more maps like further on down the track. But anyway, when I'm looking at my stamina system, like the more I sort of look at it, the better it is. Like the stamina bar refreshes after each fight, so if you haven't noticed, I'm going to throw out the same 2 TemTem. And I've got full stamina again. This is fantastic. I actually really like this concept, and I had to double back to it, because as long as my TemTem are fit and healthy and they're not close to dying, I don't have to go back and heal them because they've run out of like PP from Pokemon. And I find that quite refreshing. Not only that, you'll be noticing there's a lot of named people running around. These people are actually other players, because as I said, this game is an MMO, and it is setting itself up to be an MMO. The one thing with regards to the MMO aspect that I really like about TemTem so far is the fact that I can actually battle people right here and now. Like, I don't have to go somewhere to try and find an opponent. Now, I know the later Pokemon games allow you to just find an opponent and battle straight away, but I really like TemTem's one here because, like, this is the first iteration. This is technically the red and blue of TemTem. So if I come to here, I can actually just go here and interact, and then I see a whole list of people that are in my area. I can also tame a search. Okay, and I find that quite good. So I will actually, sorry, before I go there, I can click on there, and I can do all this sort of stuff. So TemTem up, I can do a competitive battle, a casual battle. This one is the best. This one I really like. I can do a co-op, right? And the co-op is not a co-op battle in terms of fighting 2v2 players, which I'm sure you could probably do. I've never actually thought or considered that. But you can actually have this game with a friend and play through it in co-op. So when you're battling your way through the trainers, your friend controls 3 TemTem, but 1 TemTem at a time, and you control the other 3 TemTem, 1 TemTem at a time. So you can have like discussions with your friend and pre-plan out your strategies and do all this sort of stuff. And I find that really refreshing. Not only because it's fun to interact, obviously, with your friends, and it also stays true to that MMO feeling of working together, but it's just something that I've never felt in a Pokemon game before. I, for one, really like the double battles. I love being able to use 2 of my team members at any one time, and I know you could, I think it was in the original double battle Pokemon game, Ruby and Sapphire, you could do a 4-player battle and do that, but it was locked into that section there and only that section there, which I've never really seen it replicated aside from Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And I really liked that concept, and it was disappointing that Sword and Shield didn't have this concept, even though they had the raid battles. I don't really like the raid battles, to be honest. And I don't want to pull away from TemTem for too long, but I think when it comes to a double battle aspect or a multiple player battle aspect, you need to have the fine print really, really clear and concise. And I feel like TemTem thus far has sort of set that into motion. Now, this is purely based on, I suppose, like fact from what I've heard. I've not actually experienced the co-op yet, and only because there's no one that really, like, I don't really have anyone I can play it with. But if I ever have a friend of mine pick it up and go, oh, is this game any good? I would certainly give it a go, and maybe I'll make another video later on down the line there, and just, you know, let everyone here know that whether or not it's good. Now, because this game's in early access, yes, it does have a few issues. It's got the line game to log in, like there's queues, people are playing this game, and it's actually doing what I believe to be quite well. It's not within the top 10 on Steam, but it is up there, which is quite good. Like, I didn't expect it to sort of have like this much of a following right away, especially with Pokemon being so, like, it's such a juggernaut, it's a powerhouse. But to know that this game can actually come out on its own and stand a chance not to be better than or to make the same amount of money, but at least compete where it's got a following and it's not just abandoned, is refreshing. The TemTem designs, from what I've seen so far, are quite good. I quite enjoy seeing new TemTem, just the same way I enjoy seeing new Pokemon. Some of the designs are quite, like, unique. Some of them feel like Pokemon, which is, you know, to be expected. You can't sort of win them all. I mean, Howchick sort of reminds me of like a crazy looking Abra thing, like, you know, I don't know, but like there's some really good designs. I'll bring up my other TemTem so you can see. Actually, I will show you this. One thing I do like about this, talking about my team members, first of all, TemTem following you, always a win. Pokemon still hasn't quite got that in their head, but anyway, so there's one TemTem. Here's another one. That's my starter. Here's another one. Oh, well, you won't see him because I'm on the water. Here's another one. I don't know if you'll see him. No, you won't see him. Where's the closest land? Let me get to some land. I'm in the middle of the ocean. That doesn't help. I'll show you those later. But like, some of the designs are really sort of cool, and it makes the game just that little bit more enjoyable. Let's see if I can actually bring it up. I can't, I'm sorry. That's alright. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll switch up my TemTem so you can see a couple of different ones. There we go. So, do I think this game is going to be better than Pokemon? Probably not. I mean, Pokemon is quite an experience. Here we go, we've got a battle going on. And I think Pokemon will always sort of hold a special place on a lot of people's hearts. I'm 29 and like I've been playing since Pokemon Red and Blue, and I've played every mainline entry since then. And, you know, Pokemon always makes me excited to see the new game. Not so much because I feel like it's going to be like groundbreaking or anything like that, but it really is just fun to see what new monsters they've created. So, of course, this naturally appealed to me, and I feel like, given a chance, this game would probably appeal to quite a few people. It is quite, like, as I said before, it is just come out of release, so there are issues, but there are some really good things here, and I think if people were to give this game a chance, I think it could do really well. Sort of in the same way that I feel like Yokai Watch has done in comparison. The one thing that I feel will really set this game apart away from Pokemon is this game is planning, hopefully, and it's not confirmed yet, so take this with a grain of salt, but it is confirming to have every platform covered in terms of like having this game accessible on it. So at the moment it is locked to Steam, but if this game is on PS4, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, maybe not so much for the Switch because it has got Pokemon on it, but for the PlayStation, the Xbox, and the PC, we don't really have a Monster Collection game. So to know that we can get one is kind of refreshing. It's kind of nice. I like the thought of now knowing I can do it. Like I can do it and sit down and play a Pokemon-esque game on my PC. I don't have to buy the Pokemon game. Especially, as I said before, Sword and Shield in my eyes was a little bit undercooked. So to know that I can now play this instead is perfect. And I will have a video discussing what I think of Pokemon Sword and Shield, but TemTem really is, in my mind, quite a unique product in its own way. And there's still two more things I want to discuss that I feel like really need to be discussed before this video ends. You are seeing a little bit of lag there, as I said, early access. So the first thing is, and I believe I've set it up now so that I can show you this, there is synchronized moves. And they're not synchronized in the sense of attacking at the same time, using the same technique, but they're synchronized in a way that, I mean, I will let this game show you so you can see for yourself. I'm going to use that there. Here. So on the left there you see energy manipulation, and it's a simple yet quick mental attack that exhausts the target for one turn. But then you got Energy Manipulation Plus, which increases the damage by 15 points and keeps the stamina the same. It does the same effect, but it exhausts the damage for 2 turns, providing I'm using a nature ally. So Saku up here is a nature / wind TemTem. So I now have a boost to my power based on the fact that I'm now paired up with this. I feel like that is a great little something that Pokemon has missed out on, and it really makes, for me, it makes it feel like this game could open up into something quite a bit. I actually have a water TemTem, which has an ability that says that, oh, there we go, we've disconnected. Early access. I would not be talking about this game so positively if I didn't think it was worth it. And you can get on fairly quickly. But anyway, so I've have a water TemTem that says if I team up with a fire ally, I can use the water attack and burn the enemy TemTem at the same time because I'm using scalding water instead of cold water. And I found that just, it's such a simple premise. It's not, anything that you would deem to be, new or groundbreaking or anything like that. And yet, you sit there and you go, that's actually a really good idea. And the more I sort of think about it, the more I'm sort of like, well, why hasn't Pokemon thought of this yet? And this kind of upsets me a little bit because I feel like Pokemon's had that time to do that. They've had the better part of, is it 15 or 20 years now? They've had quite some time to figure this out, and there just hasn't been that evolution that we could sort of expect. And I know we get rehashes of old games, and that's never a bad thing, especially considering how loved Pokemon's previous generations are. But with these new generations, especially Sword and Shield, I feel, being on that Nintendo Switch, that new product, that new hardware, it just upsets me a little bit. And not in a bad way, but it's not really upset. It's disappointed. It's worse. Because I just feel like Sword and Shield could have been a lot better. And the more I sort of look at that, the more it sort of makes me feel like this is the game that I'll be playing until I feel happy again with Pokemon. And that sort of sucks to say. But at the same time too, I can't give Pokemon credit based off what I've seen so far. And it's really unfortunate. It's just... and there's probably some people here that are sitting here who love Pokemon and are getting a little bit upset that this has happened and I'm saying this, but I hope that you would at least think objectively and go, well, maybe Red's saying this for a reason. You know, maybe there is a reason behind this. And before you go, what the hell was that item? This vial is a full heal to the entire team. It can only be used once, and it can be restored at the TemTem Healing Center. Which, it sounds overpowered, but it's not, because the TemTem battles are actually quite a bit more difficult than Pokemon battles at this point. So, given the fact that this game's just launched, it's got a different look at the combat system of Pokemon. It's got synchronized attacks, which add a level of strategy. It eliminates an old school move set PowerPoint system and replaces it for a modern stamina system. I just feel like this game is it's a little bit more thought out. And before I finish up this video, I will show you one more thing, just to show you the difference that I've found in relation to other monster hunting games or monster collection games. So, I'm going to ask you what you think this is. Soft touch. I'll give you a few seconds. Have a think. What do you think this trait would be? So, traits are similar to Pokemon passive abilities, like Overgrowth. You know, they're... I don't know what they're called in Pokemon, I can't remember. But this here is a passive. Soft touch, when attacking a sleeping target, it won't wake up. That I feel is a lot more useful than some of the techniques, these passive techniques that you get in Pokemon. Like, the first starter ones are always powers up the relative element when you're in, like, I believe when you're at, like, mid to low health. And that's tame, man. Like, that's not really anything that exciting. I found this one really exciting when I found out that I could actually use that as a viable way to damage TemTem, because I can put people to sleep. You know, and the other thing that, before I go any further and show you a few more traits, I can actually switch my techniques on the fly. Psywave, get rid of Hypnosis, vice versa. Like, how good is that? It's just, I feel like there's a lot more modern sort of techniques here. So, even here, damage done with physical techniques is increased by 20%. Fairly generic. Right? Cold natures. Instead of getting cold, the TemTem gets frozen. So that's actually a bad trait, you know. So if they use a technique that might place a cold element on your TemTem, it freezes them and stops them being able to attack. I don't know what the cold element is. I'm guessing maybe it reduces my speed or something like that. But being frozen instead is worse. Here you go here. Damage done with wind techniques increased by 50%. Generic. Damage done with multi-target techniques increased by 25%. That's an extra layer on that, you know. And even here, toxic techniques get type damage boost. These are just basic traits. Like, they aren't anything special. I'll actually see if I can bring up a few more so you can have a look. Here you go. When received a consecutive attack in the same turn, the technique gets redirected to an ally. So if they focus this Pokemon, there it is again. If they focus this TemTem, it actually will go, no, you can't do that, and divert one attack to the ally TemTem on your side or on the opponent's side. Here, prevents the poisoning status condition. Fairly generic. Soft touch, resilient. Cannot be knocked out due to overexertion. So when you run out of stamina, as I said before, you can use your health. I can actually attack and use my stamina and my health, and it actually will not KO Tataru. There are a lot of these here which I feel are just quite a bit unique, a little bit more unique, and a little bit different to what you experience in Pokemon. And this is by no means me shitting on Pokemon. Pokemon is a fantastic game. I just feel Sword and Shield was a little bit undercooked as opposed to what maybe the expectation was. And I'll get into that in another video. I do have another video planned. But this has been a first little look at TemTem. I'm going to keep playing TemTem. I will not be doing a Let's Play series on it. I will just show you more and more as I go. But if you do want to see a Let's Play of it, at this point you can make a new character and I can start this game over if people really want to see it. But you know, I advise you, if you're interested in this game, keep an eye on it. If you've got a computer or a laptop, like, if you're really that interested, give it a download. It is $50. Though Steam does have a pretty good return policy that you can play it for up to 2 hours, and then if you're still not happy with it for whatever reason, you can return it. So there is that as well. So, see how you go. With that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Ring-a-ding-ding that bell to stay notified as to when I upload. And with that, I will see you next time. My name's Red, and I'm out.